Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is the Community Pod, and I am your host, Lester Class. Each and every episode is going to be filled with amazing stories from amazing people. You will hear the different journeys people went through, or are still going through, to be able to do what they love. From the failures to the successes and everything in between. This is a place to get to know the person behind their passion, because people only get to see the successes and not what it took to get there. If this is your first time tuning in, please subscribe and leave a review if you love the content. Now finally, I would love to welcome you to the Community Pod.
What's going on, everyone? This is the Community Pod. I'm your host, Lester Class, and I got an amazing music producer in the building. I got Kevin, or Chini, in the building. What's going on, Chini?
What's going on, man? Glad to be here. Thank you for having me, bro.
It's an honor having you here, bro.
Word.
I gotta say that one, I've been looking at a lot of your work, and I gotta say that you are very talented in what you do.
Oh, man,
so I just want to say that.
Appreciate it.
Always, bro. So I guess we always start with, like, where are you from?
I was born in New York. I was born in Queens, and shortly after that, probably when I was like about 6 months, my parents moved to a town called Dover.
Okay.
And they just wanted me to grow up, in like kind of like a suburban area because it's like less crazy, And then after that, we moved to a town called Randolph, which was like basically where I was raised at.
Got you.
It's like a small town in Morris County.
Got you. Okay. So you weren't in Queens for very long.
Nah.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I don't claim all that because
No.
I know how like New York be. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely raised in Jersey.
Definitely. Okay, cool. So what was life like growing up in New Jersey for yourself?
I grew up in a small town where, it's like there's nothing really going on out there. So like being in middle school and high school, like all there was really to do to have fun was like go to the mall or like house parties. Like my town was big on house parties and stuff like that. And, we didn't have like, the accessibility to like cool places everywhere, like to be able to go somewhere like, or to be able to have a lot of fun, you would have to go to New York or, like something like that. But definitely taught me how to, keep myself entertained with what I had.
Got you. All right. I got to ask, right, like to be able to do something like yourself, that you took on music producing and everything, like, and growing up in a small town where it's not very active in, I guess, the creative world, how did you like develop that or like find the path to creativity?
I feel like growing up, I just wanted to have a passion or something to be passionate about. And I felt like I always strayed away from like music because it's like, even when I was growing up, it was still oversaturated. Or not even oversaturated. It's like everybody's telling you like, oh, like don't do music. Like there's no future in music. You know what I'm saying? So, but I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyways. So in high school, like I remember like we just had a laptop laying around in my house. I went and bought like a USB mic off of Amazon or some shit like that. Yeah. Started trying to like record myself, record my sister. I remember we were like in my parents' closet, like trying to just like record ourselves and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it started. And then, curiosity just led me to the world of production and instruments and things like that.
Got you. That's super cool. Like, and I find it funny that like you not that you hid the music part from family or whatever, but like you guys went in the closet and you guys try to make music, which I find is super cool. I feel like especially at a young age, like our creativity is at its peak,
right?
Where like it's like we want to do something creative, but can sometimes be looked at as like, oh, you're being a kid, which is normal, but once you're an adult, creativity should kind of like start to die out. But I feel like it shouldn't be like that. Right. And I feel like it's cool that you're able to do the music producing. So I wanted to ask, the reason I say all this is, was music producing your first passion? Was it the first thing you decided to do when coming into music?
Yeah, for sure. And like the engineering side too. So like audio engineering, recording and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely like the creation of it. Yeah.
Got you. Did you ever yourself try to make like your own music?
I never like put out any of my own music. I tried like just to like learn how to do this stuff. Like I would like just record myself, but like I never thought about being an artist or anything like that.
Got you. Cool.
Yeah.
I find that, not like to say that I find it crazy, like myself, because I feel like a lot of people when they get into music, a lot of people like the main thing is I want to make music myself. But for you to be doing it, like engineering it and doing it and making the rhythm and the beats, and then finding like the best time to put like maybe a drop or something like that.
Right.
I'm not really into it like that when it comes to engineering, which I just find it cool how technical it gets.
Yeah.
Where like everything, it's kind of like the way I can put it is like the same way you video edit. If you miss like a millisecond, it's not going to sound the exact same way you wanted it to sound if that millisecond is out of that picture.
Word.
So I just find that really cool. What's your favorite thing about music producing?
Oh man. I feel like when it comes to making music, the best case scenario is capturing the emotion of a moment. So to me, my favorite part is like being able to translate that exactly how I feel or whoever I'm working with feels at that moment, you know? So when it comes time for a session, like lately what I've been doing is if I'm creating with someone and we're starting from scratch or something like that, like as soon as they come in, I'm not like, okay, so like what do you want to do today? What's your vibe? Like what do you want to make? I kind of just, you know, have a conversation with them and see where their life is at and what they're up to and just like, you know, how they're feeling. And I feel like when it's done in that process, it's a lot more genuine when the music starts to, you know, get created.
I gotta say, like, I wanted to ask, like, how crazy do you think it is that music can translate to emotion? Like, I just, like, it was a thought just came in my head. Like, I know that the question might sound a little, like, kind of jumbled, but I just find it crazy. Like, we can express our emotions through words, but you are able to express somebody's emotions through sound.
Right.
So how did you ever think about it like that, where it was just crazy like that?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to think about that. You kind of have to think about it like that because it's like different chords or chord progressions or sounds emulate like a feeling, you know? So like, I guess like basic music theory terminology would be like major chords and major keys sound happier and minor chords and keys sound like a little more sad, you know? So it's finding out like how to use that to your advantage to emulate whatever emotion is needed for that,
exactly.
You know? Yeah.
No, so I wanted to get into, right, how long have you been music producing?
So as I mentioned before, I started like in high school trying to record, but it wasn't until after I graduated high school where I started producing and creating and stuff like that. So, you know, like at the end of high school, I'm like trying to figure things out. Like my mom, like my parents definitely wanted me to go to school. So I'm thinking like, oh man, like my grades aren't that good. Like I don't know what I want to do I don't know what I want to major in. I don't even know what I want to do. So I remember just my mom had a conversation with one of my cousins who went into like computer science and he had like a good career, made a good living off of, you know, whatever he decided to do after that. So I was like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. Like, let me just do computer science, see what I could do. And my mom had a conversation with my cousin and my cousin was like, are you sure that's what he really wants to do? And at that point, my mom she asked me like, what do you really want to do? Like, do you want to go to school for music? And I was like, all right, like, fuck it. Like, I'll do it. Like, you know, like if you want me to go to school, like I might as well just go for that if you're supporting it. So like my parents have always been supportive in that aspect, like super supportive, like, you know, but yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Got you. Cool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, it could be nothing. I just wanted to ask to see if it like there was something there, but you said that you started like, you didn't take it as serious during high school, right?
Right.
And then after you graduated, you decided to take it serious. Was there ever a point or like something that was going on through high school that kind of steered you away from taking it serious?
Yeah, I mean, if you research like the salaries of an audio engineer, I'm not sure about now, but back then it was like audio engineers were making like an average of like 30,000 a year, something crazy like that, you know. So it was just like seeing like all the like negatives to it was kind of like, you know, like, oh man, like, do I really want to do this? Like, but at the same time, like, what led me back to it was that, you know, like, in life, everything is hard to do. It's hard to go into sales. It's hard to be a real estate agent. It's hard to go to med school. You know what I'm saying? So you might as well pick what you love out of that and stick to it, you know?
Gotcha. And how important do you feel like that is, that the last part that you said, to be able to do some, to like focus and put your time towards something that you love doing?
I think it's everything. Like, I could say personally, like, I've put so much time and effort into this, like, and I'm just realizing now it's like that's the only way things start to happen. And, you know, when these opportunities show up, like, you have to kind of be prepared for it. And it's like you're not going to be prepared for it unless you're diligently working at this all the time.
Gotcha. And I like that you said that, because I feel like there's a lot of people, and I believe I mentioned it a few times in the podcast, where people don't put the actual time in. They say that they want to do something, but don't actually put the time in. There's a part in that I wanted to ask you where, what do you think is more important when doing something where something, I guess like something that we do, which is being creative and taking on a creative field? What part do you think is more important? The time putting in, or the, I don't want to say this incorrectly. The time putting in, or the I guess the word of mouth.
I think that putting in time is definitely more important than that.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely more important, because at the end of the day, things happen, like life comes at you, the opportunities are going to come. Like, luck is eventually going to show up for you. So if you are constantly putting the work in, I feel like it's like a combination of luck and hard work meeting each other. And that's when things start to get crazy. But it only happens with both, you know? Like, there's been plenty of times in my career where I've been unprepared, and it's such a bad feeling, you know what I'm saying? So, like, for example, like, my manager will be like, oh, this artist is looking for beats. Like, what do you have right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, like, give me a few days. Like, I'll make a pack for them or whatever. And it's just like, that's a losing game already. Like, you should have things prepared, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you're rushing to get stuff done, and it's just like nothing good comes from that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I got you. No,
Yeah.
definitely. And I feel like you should always have, like you said, things already in, like, I call it the vault, where like you have things stored, and if anybody was like, hey, can you do this for me? You already have some ready. Like,
Right.
samples, like, this is what I got. Do you like it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a very, very important. I gotta say, right, we're talking a lot about like your come up and like you starting music producing, but what is it like to look back on everything that you've been able to do? Because from what I've known and what I've seen through just Instagram posts is that you've worked with a lot of amazing artists. You worked with Fetty Wap, you worked with Justine Valentine, you've also worked with Kaylee Marie.
Kaylee and Mary, yeah.
Kaylee and Mary. Like, what is that like to look back and be like, this is crazy?
To look back is kind of crazy, you know, just like all the things that I had to do to get to this point. Like, in this game, like, you kind of have to pay a lot of dues, you know what I'm saying? So to be able to do what I'm doing now, which is like, not to say like it's like super crazy right now, but it does feel good, like, you know, seeing the progress. So like, every artist you name, like, my first time working with them, I was like, oh, okay, like, I felt the nerves a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I feel like back then it was a lot easier working with artists that it's their first time in the studio, you know, like you get to coach them a little bit more. It's different than working with the seasoned artist who comes in and they kind of have like demands in a certain sense, you know. So but I feel like all of those moments like really prepared me for what I'm doing now.
No, definitely. And like I have to ask, like I know that I kind of shot right to looking back, but like how were you able to make these connections?
So I feel like a big turning point in my career was when I started working out of So Amazing Studios, which is where I work now.
Okay.
And I'm signed to them as a producer to their entertainment company. You know, it's CEO is Shy Bugs, my manager. And I feel like since then, like I've kind of been put in position to, you know, work with a bunch of different artists, you know, major label artists or bigger independent artists. And yeah, that's kind of how things happen for me.
Got you.
Right.
So what was that time period like when getting out of high school and then deciding to go to school that I guess prioritizes in music?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like, that period of like, yes, I feel like some people mistaken that you can go to school and get a certification, whatever you want to do, but there's no guarantee after. It's about the work that you put in. So what was that time period like?
I mean, I didn't have like the going away for college experience. Like I went to my community school, but they did have a good like music recording program.
Gotcha.
So like they're pretty honest with you when you first show up. They're like, not everybody's gonna make it through this program. Like, not to say it's hard and they'll fail out, but it's just like they'll realize like what it really is, and it's not all just fun and like being able to record someone singing or playing an instrument, you know. So they were pretty honest with that, and just going through that program, like I learned a lot. They were very honest with me. They were like, in any type of music program, like you get what you put into it. So, and they were like, we've had interns that went through this program and did amazing, and we've had, you know, people who didn't do anything, you know. So I feel like keeping that in mind, it kind of pushed me to work hard at it. And at the same time, you know, like I was looking into like studio internships or like, you know, like engineering jobs that I could find. So that's kind of how that went, like going to school, working part-time jobs, and looking for internships and jobs and stuff like that.
Got you. Cool.
Word.
What do you feel like is the most important part, or like something that you implemented during this time that was able to get you to where you are now?
Definitely working through being tired, you know, like being a full-time student, having a full-time job, and then going to the studio late at night, and then having to repeat that, you know, 4 or 5 days out of the week. As a musician, as a producer, as an audio engineer, like there's so many sleepless nights, like leaving the studio when the sun is coming up, and, you know, just situations like that I went through at that time that prepared me for right now.
No, definitely. And I gotta say, like, do you feel like there are misconceptions about being a music producer? Like where, like you said, there's a lot of people that went into the school that may have thought that this is just gonna be a lot of fun. But like you mentioned, there's sleepless nights. There's times where that you leave the studio and the sun's coming up. Like, what do you feel about those misconceptions, if any?
I like that question. I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions. I feel like, yeah, like outside looking in, it does look like it's all fun, you know? But like it is fun, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't do this because it's not fun.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. There's a lot of misconceptions, like, you know, people who work 9 to 5 jobs. It's like when they're working in that time frame, like when they're on the clock, it's like people know not to bother them, you know? And it's like they're not taking calls. People, like, their mom's not going to call them. They're, you know, whoever, you know? Like, but when it comes to, you know, someone in the studio, it's like we don't have a set time frame. So it's like, people think that we're just in there having fun when it's not. It's like a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of hard work. Like, we miss out on, family gatherings, and we're missing out on sunlight and fresh air. You know what I'm saying? Like, it gets tough sometimes. Like, I feel like people don't see that negative side, and it's accepted more within like the corporate world, where if you're missing something because of work, it's more understood.
I think that, like, I don't want to answer for you, right? But I feel like there's something where you mentioned 9-to-5 jobs. I want to say, and I know you can agree, but there's nothing wrong with 9-to-5 jobs, but I don't believe that sometimes they realize that we understand that you guys are, okay, work a 9-to-5, and you're making a salary, right? For us, if we want to keep this long term, we understand that we probably won't make good money for quite some time. But we know that as long as we work our asses off and continue to do this, we can get past the salary point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
We can actually be able to do this and not feel like we're struggling. Because I wanted to ask, like, if you're do you go to struggle, do you go through struggling moments, and what are those moments like, and how do you get past them?
I mean, yeah, I definitely go through my struggles now. It's like I definitely have my good and bad months. Like, there's months where I'm like, oh man, like, gotta pay rent, gotta pay this, PSE&G bill. And then there's months where I'm like, oh, fuck it, like, let's do like a $400 dinner, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know, man. It's I feel like that's just trials and tribulations. Like, that's just how life is, and I've come to terms with that, like, with how, like, ups and downs will always come, and it's just like, I feel like when I talk about, like, when I'm just like chopping it up with somebody and they're like, oh, like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, like, I'm a producer, I'm an audio engineer. And they're like, oh, okay, like, what else do you do? Like, it's like they expect, like, me living on my own, like, that I have to have some other type of, like, corporate job or something to sustain myself. And I'm just like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, this is it.
I feel like I love that you mentioned that like, people, you'll tell them, especially when you're doing something like, I guess, self-owned and being your own, I don't want to say your own boss, I feel like that's a little cliche, but like, you're an entrepreneur, you're working on your own, you're managing yourself and everything, and you are literally run the entire show. I feel like there's a misconception, or like, even like people that come up to me, be like, oh, what do you do? Like you said, you're a music producer, audio engineer, and they'll be like, oh, what else do you do? Just expecting it to be like, oh, you make probably no money that you need another job. But like, it's not always like that. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So no, I wanted to ask, like, what is an experience that you've gone through, if any, that really like built you into who you are today?
Oh man. Okay, so I feel like a big, like, thing that kind of flipped the switch was when we dropped Sweet Yamz by Fetty Wap. That was like a big moment in my career, and I don't know, it just like really inspired me, because that's the first record I really had that, did pretty well. Like, it charted on Billboard. Like, it's my first time charting on Billboard, and just seeing like the reaction from everybody, like, for the first time I'm seeing like how like a placement like that can translate to like your life and the life of your family and stuff like that. Like I remember it dropped, and like the first day it was kind of like bubbling on TikTok and stuff like that, and the next day was kind of when it went crazy. Like, it went crazy on TikTok, and like for the next few weeks, like, it was just like undeniable, like, how big that record kind of got. Like, me and my manager Shy Bugs, like, we produced a song together, and every day we're on the phone with each other, like, yo, like, Wiz Khalifa just posted it on like he just posted himself bumping to it, and then like all these celebrities just started posting. We're like, yo, Snoop Dogg just posted that, like OBJ just posted that, Lizzo just posted that. Like every time we're on the phone, like we're scrolling through TikTok and Instagram, and while we're on the phone, we're finding a new celebrity that, you know, reposted the song, and we're just like, yo, this shit is so crazy. And then I remember one day, like, my brother-in-law, he texted me. He was like, bro, like, it's on the radio. And I was like, you lying. Like the label was asking for a radio edit of the song, which we didn't have at that time. And we didn't even, like, do the edit yet. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, like, there's no way it's on the radio right now. And he took a video of it. He sent it to me. I was like, bro, like, this is so crazy. And at that time, like, when we made the song, it was like, I feel like I was in the studio so heavy, like just working, like every day, coming in, working. And that was the result of that, you know? And yeah, like just how that song was made, it was just, that's a good example of, you know, hard work and luck meeting each other.
No, definitely. Like, I saw that. I didn't want to mention it because I wanted to really get you to talk about it, which is, I just find it like kind of sitting here listening to you say that, it has to feel surreal. We're like getting these moments of the celebrities posting it and everything. Like, the reason I'm bringing all that up is like, one, like, I know that you explained how that feeling was and everything, but was there like a time that you sat there and like by yourself and just was like, dude, like, I'm on the billboards.
Yeah, for sure, man. There was time, like, I definitely shed tears of joy over that shit, man. Like, it's definitely such, like, yeah, it's a surreal moment, man. It's just like, is this really happening? You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, there's so many times, like, in this game where there's disappointments, like, disappointment after disappointment. And I feel like I finally got to a point where it's like those disappointments just need to be like, how do I word this? Like, I feel like it got to a point where I'm just like, it's just a matter of getting it out the way. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, that disappointment, like a disappointment shows up. All right, let's get that out the way. On to the next one. Whereas like the younger me would have been like, having my hopes up so high for a certain opportunity, and for that opportunity to fall through, I'd be like, damn, like, this is so unfair, like, you know. But now it's just like, you know, it happens every day, so you might as well just get that out of the way and go on to the next, keep working.
Yeah. I gotta say, so quick question. I don't want to go on to it too long, but that record, Sweet Yamz, right? Mm-hmm. You mentioned it got crazy on TikTok, which it did. I remember seeing it everywhere. Word. But was that had to have been recorded like way before?
I think we did that maybe in the summer or beginning of fall. It was before Fetty got locked up.
It was before Fetty got locked up. Yeah. So like, quick question, like, if not, then I completely understand. Were you able to, like, did Fetty Wap, was he able to see that response? Were you ever able to contact or, like, get on, like, a communication was like, dude, this is crazy? Or if not, then I completely understand.
No, I mean, I didn't speak to him. I know like, Sha did, and, you know, other people in the camp definitely spoke to him.
Definitely? Yeah.
And, you know, he was still communicating with fans through, you know, like the phone and stuff like that, you know, thanking the fans and stuff like that. But yeah.
So what was it like to work with an individual like Fetty Wap? Because I don't want to say like, how do I say this? So I know that Fetty Wap, a few years ago, he was really big, but he still has been dropping music and also has been, I believe, managing other people as well. Or am I wrong?
He was, yeah.
He was?
Yeah.
So what was that feeling like when you first were able to link with Fetty Wap?
So Fetty, like, where I work out of at So Amazing is his home studio. Like, that's where he recorded everything. You know, like, not everything, but, like, you know, all of his big hits and, you know, like, most of the stuff after. Mm-hmm. And I remember just like seeing him around. Like we would pass by each other in sessions. He would work with a guy named Peoples that, you know, he works with us, and then he started locking in with Says Beats.
Okay.
Both a part of the team. And yeah, like one day he was in a session with Says, which was, I think it was like the first time I met him, and I had the session right after. So I walk in, there's a bunch of people in there, Fetty's sitting there, I'm just saying what's up to everybody. And he's just cool, you know, down to earth, super humble, like, just, you know, like, he shows love, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like everybody gets that same vibe from him when they meet him. And I remember the first time I worked with him was, he was doing, like, a mixing session for one of his projects that he was dropping. So... Okay. He didn't come there to record or anything. Like, Peoples was just mixing his project down, and then Peeps was like, yo, I just need, like, to give my ears a break, and Fetty was like, oh, all right, cool. So I'm just sitting there, like, just witnessing everything, you know? I was just sitting there, like, chopping it up with everybody. And then Peeps starts playing beats that me and him made over quarantine. He's just playing beat after beat after beat. And Fetty's just like, yo, I fuck with that one. I fuck with that one. I fuck with that one. Till it got to this one beat, and he's like, yo, like, can I hop on that right now? And Peeps is like, yeah, sure, go ahead. It's a song called Patience. It's on one of his earlier projects. And that's the first time, like, I got a major label placement was that song. And ever since then, like, he definitely, like, had cuts on, like, a lot of my beats and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until Sweet Yamz when I got another placement like that officially dropped with him. And that was because it was my first session with Fetty where I was recording him.
Okay.
So my manager Shy calls me one day and he's like, yo, Fetty said he wants you to run the sessions today. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, what is he doing? And Shy was like, I think he's just, like, doing a feature. It's something easy. It'll probably take you like 2 hours. I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's do it. So I pull up and Shy is sitting there. So I'm just chopping it up with Shy before Fetty gets there. And then Fetty gets there with his people, and he comes in singing Yams, like the original Yams by Masego and Devin Morrison.
Okay.
And he's just like, yo, like, I want to do a remix to that song. Like, let's do it. And Shy was like, all right, like, yeah, let's do it. So I knew that was, like, my opportunity to get in on the record. Like, I told Shy after, I was like, bro, like, let me make the beat with you, like, let me just hop on that shit with you. And he's like, all right, cool, like, yeah, let's do it. Like, Shy ain't never said no to anything, like, I asked, like, so he's like, yeah, like, let's do it. I was like, all right, bet. And, like, that's kind of how the Sweet Yams record came about. Like,
nah, I, like, just to sit here and listen, like, you were able to create something, like, to me, I always compare, like, especially when you're doing something you love, it becomes an art. And you were able to you create art through being able to, like, make the music for him. You know what I mean?
Word.
I just find it it's still, like, I know it sounds crazy, but, like, for somebody on the outside look, does that make sense? The outside looking in, it's just, like, surreal even hearing that. You know what I mean? That you're able to do that. And bro, salute to you, congratulations. Like, that's great. I'm so happy for you, because there's a lot of people that don't get charted. There's a lot of people that, like, do this for a very long time and, like, aren't able to connect. And it's not because they're not putting in the work. And sometimes it is, but, like, you just were able to do something that a lot of people don't. And I feel like sometimes we as creatives can sometimes not realize that, because we get in our own heads and think, okay, what's the next move? But, like, I want you to know that you did an amazing job, honestly.
I
awesome.
appreciate that, Brody, for real.
So I wanted to ask, what is it like having a support system? Like, I don't want to say Shy Boogs.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like having people like that around you?
Oh, man. Shy is, like, he's such a big part of my career, and, like, why things happen the way they do for me. And, like, beyond that, he just inspires, like, the music side too. So Shy is a producer, he's a musician. Like, he teaches me so many things. Like, every time I walk in the room with him, it's just like I feel like I'm just learning, you know? It's like I'm a student, you know? So it's like and we definitely have, like, our fair share of disagreements too. like as my manager, like, there definitely be times where I'm like, yo, like, what are you thinking? Like, why are we doing this? Or like, why do you want me to do this? Or there's times where like I want to do something and he's like, it's a waste of time. Like, don't do that. Like, and I'm like, yo, why are you being a hater? But at the end of the day, it's like there's so many of those moments where he was right in those situations. And I feel like we're at a point now where it's just like, he tells me, he's like, yo, whatever you want to do, like, I'm in. Like, and at the same time, I'm like, bro, like, I promise, like, I'm going to put in the work and not let you down, you know? And I feel like he's like that for a lot of people. Like, I'm not the only one who he manages. Like, he manages Fetty.
Okay.
He manages IVJ, R&B artist from New Jersey, super talented. He manages Says Beats, another producer. And I feel like we all look at him like that. You know, it's like there's just a lot of wisdom and knowledge from somebody who's been doing this for a long time. So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. Like, I feel like a lot of people, like, they don't get that kind of support all the time. I feel like, especially in, like, I can be wrong, but especially in the music business, I feel like it can be a little, like, kind of backstabbing, or like not as much of a trustworthy, where everybody is okay with pushing somebody to the side in order to make it.
Right.
Do you agree on that?
Yeah, for sure. And like since day one, like ever since I started working with him, he was like, yo, I'm always gonna be 100% transparent about everything, you know? So I feel like there's never been a time where I didn't trust him, you know?
Okay.
Like I might have had my questions and asked him, you know, but there's never been a time where I'm like, he has like his own motive and he's being selfish, you know? Like that's never been a thought in my mind.
No, that's amazing. And it's good to have people like that around you, and to be able to, like, for Shy Books to be able to, like, especially on a record like Yams, to be like, yo, just hop on, like, let's do this together, you know what I mean?
Word.
So that's awesome. I wanted to ask, like, do you feel like music producers, audio engineers, do you believe that you guys get the credit that you guys deserve?
Not all the time.
Not all the time?
Not all the time. It's definitely getting better. But, you know, like, I still work with artists to this day who do interviews like this, and they're like, oh, yeah, like, I made that song with this producer, like, some producer, and they won't say your name. Like, it's just a little
shady?
Yeah, a little bit. But, you know, that's a part of the game, too.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes you gotta, like, take it on the chin. Where, like, yeah, that's my work, and it's out there, and they're doing great, good. Do I wish they would have said my name? Of course. Do I wish they would have tagged me? Of course. But it's going to happen. And, like, all right, now I know, okay, how can I avoid that the next time? Like, I feel like it's just a learning experience throughout the whole entire thing. You're not going to be perfect at it.
Word. But, like, yeah, like, lately what I've been on now is, like, I can't control that. Like, my purpose in the studio is to better somebody, you know? Like, that's my only purpose when it comes to making music with an artist, you know? Whether I'm just recording them or I'm making a beat or, you know, playing an instrument on whatever, like, it's like my goal is not to make it about myself. It's to make whoever I'm creating with better. So that's kind of like, I try not to think about like anything else when it comes to that.
No, yeah. Then that's awesome, because I feel like with doing stuff like this, the negativity can sometimes be overwhelming, and sometimes not that it outweighs the positives, but the positives begin to get a little foggy because of all the negativity.
Right.
So it's a good thing that you are able to look at more of the positive things and be like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to just worry about what I got going on right now. So what I wanted to ask, right, what is one thing that you feel like comes with music engineering that you like more than the other? Like, what is something you enjoy doing because of it, and what is one thing that you're like, I don't like it, but I deal with it because it's not that bad?
I love connecting with people. I love the aspect of seeing them make something they're proud of and something that I'm proud of as well. I like, just how you could go from no sounds at all to something cohesive and, something with like energy, It's like you go from nothing to something. That's probably like my favorite part. I don't I guess the part that I hate the most about it is people's egos. Definitely a lot of ego. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like, a little demanding at times, or if there's like a bunch of people in the room and you have to deal with everybody's bullshit. But, like that's a part of the game, man. Yeah.
No, definitely. And something that I wanted to get into was like, what is it that wakes you up every morning to be able to do what you do?
Oh, man. I feel like at the end of the day, everybody who's ever worked with me or everybody who knows me for real knows that I keep it a stack when it comes to like the music and the art, So I feel like my intentions have always been pure. Like I really do this for the art, and I push myself for the art. And like, of course it's nice to get paid and it's nice to get the recognition and the attention sometimes, but it's just like at the end of the day, like I know I'm in this for the love of the music, and I really have a passion for it. Like this is everything to me, and it'll always be everything to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I could tell when it's clear as day when somebody is just doing this for attention or some easy money, which is not. Like it's not easy money at all. Like no matter what you think or like what you see, like it's not easy, but that's people's perception of it. And the real ones could tell when you're doing it for that.
Okay. And what I wanted to get into was like what advice would you give to somebody who is trying to do something that they love?
My advice to someone who's trying to do something that they love is continue to fail. And I feel like I've thought that was such a negative thing coming up, but that's really what prepared me for where I'm at today. And, like going through these mistakes, like even something small, like something in a session where I'm like, oh, like I should have just done this so I wouldn't run into this problem. Now I know for next time. It's like, if you compile up all your failures, like you're golden.
Yeah. So not that we're coming to an end, but I have a few more questions, right? What is it that inspires you, or who is it that inspires you?
I feel like I'm a big fan of the underdog, We as humans kind of always come up with excuses. It's like excuse after excuse, and that doesn't satisfy anybody besides the person given the excuse. So I think that man, how do I word this? It's like I'm always inspired by someone who takes their circumstances, no matter what it is, and like they just fight through it. Like, what's a good example? Man, I can't even think of an example right now.
I guess like I only like I can think of an example where it's just like an individual who's going through like one of the toughest times in their life. Let's just say, well, we don't have to name anybody specific, but like to be able to go through something in your life, it's traumatic or something that really like has pulled you to a point where like you felt like there was no return, and to be able to climb out of that hole and realize that I'm able to do it. And every step of the way that while you're climbing up, it's just like I'm one step closer to be able to see the sunlight, where it's just like, this is the light, I'm getting to it, I'm almost there, I got to keep going, and then finally reaching that.
Word.
So I think that was what we were trying to say.
Yeah, facts.
But my last question, right, before we get into the ending and going all over that, which is sad because I'm enjoying the conversation. But what is it that you want the world to know about yourself?
Oh man, I feel like I would want the world to know that I'm somebody who, no matter what I'm doing, I truly believe is for the greater good, and I genuinely want to better anybody who comes in contact with me and is willing to, trust me enough to do that. And I feel like I give my all into my passion and what I do,
Okay, so we are at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say I appreciate you for coming.
Word, likewise, bro. Thank you for having me.
Always, bro. But like the way I always ended off, the camera is now all yours. If there's anything you want to say, advice you want to give, or something you got going on, now is the time.
That's tough, man. You put me on the spot. My advice to anybody out there would just be, do what you want to do and do it because you love it. Don't do it for a paycheck or attention, like at the end of the day, whatever you choose to do, if you work hard enough at it, you'll get the results you want. And it should be because of your love for it and not a selfish reason. I guess that is selfish in itself, but it's not for the wrong reason. And I just think that whatever you decide to do, it should be for the right reasons.
Gotcha. So like I said, I appreciate you for being on here.
Thank you,
I appreciate you coming and speaking your mind and allowing your story to be told. I think it's very important that people get their story told, because sometimes that there is no platform for the story behind the success. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Chini, right, Chini?
Yeah.
I said it right? All right, I got it right. Chini, I want to say I appreciate you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and do the outro.
Let's do it.
I'm going to put Chini's all his information in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, please go check him out. Subscribe. Put on the post notifications so you never miss an episode. Follow me on Instagram. Follow my boy Chini on Instagram.
Facts.
My Instagram is the community pod. You can see the link in the bio. I'm going to put yours in the bio.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching on any audio platform, remember to leave a review, download the episodes, download prior episodes if this is your first episode that you are watching or listening to, and leave a review. Also, if this is your first episode, I have to say, welcome to the community pod, and we are out. Peace.
Yo, thank you for that, bro.